welcome to Taboo Chronicles. We're so happy that you joined us tonight. We really miss you all, actually. So we're glad that you joined us. I have my co-host, my next leading lady with me, Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Jackie, the wellness advocate here. And yes, we definitely missed y'all. It's been a month. Um, but I don't know if y'all remember, Ms. Roberta and I are both in the education field. So that second Monday, it was the first day of school. And Miss Alicia as well, who we have here as guests, she is also in the education field. So we were all tired and keeping our mental health in consideration and said, you know what, not tonight because we're exhausted. So
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for being here. And I'm going to let Miss Alicia introduce herself.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for having me. My name is Alicia Burrell. I am the founder and executive director of Roots to Wellness. I'm a comedic yoga teacher, educator, and author of the book Warrior to Warrior.
Oh, I like
Hey.
that. Hey, Miss Alicia B. I like that. Uh, I like that. That sounds wonderful.
This reminds me of like Family Matters when they like have the guests come on
Yes,
and on your appearance. I'm like, oh,
yes.
this is what it feels like.
Oh, yeah. Yep,
The
yep,
little
yep.
applause.
Definitely. That title
Yeah.
of that book, though, "Warrior to Warrior," we're gonna have to dive into that because that's really good. That I would have never thought of myself as a warrior because I am a worrier. I'm always worrying about what comes next, what's in the future. Uh, Forget to practice that mindfulness, being here in the present, in the moment. But before we dive into that, we're going to go ahead and do a mental health check in. How is everyone doing today? Ms. Roberta, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, as I explained, I'm a 7 today because I am very sleepy. I woke up, I took a nap. So if I look like I was napping, I was. I'm guilty. But it wasn't enough. And I had to set my alarm. So I did set my alarm so I can make the show. But trust me, I still wanted to nap a little bit more. So I'm a 7, but I'm elated. I'm excited about tonight.
Good, good. Happy to hear that. Alicia, how are you doing today?
I don't know what the scale is exactly, but I'm going to say that I am excited to be here. I definitely am. I see people, I guess is the chat, is this Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was just talking before we started recording about the Mercury retrograde and how it ends on Wednesday. Yes, because it's been a tiring time and just, miscommunication with appointments and schedules and all the things. But we are here, praise God, and I am just excited to talk with you all today.
Hey, thank you. Definitely have been tired for since the first day of school. Probably even prior to that, because it's all new. Being back into the schools, I've been in the school system before, but being back into it, I kind of forgot the hecticness that goes with it, especially officially being on a campus type base with more than 130 students. um, Definitely is a different beast. And being a part of the operations team, so I just feel finally after this weekend I got some much needed rest, but I'm still sleepy. I'm like, I think if I go to sleep early enough today, I will finally feel like I am all caught up because it doesn't give. I just so tired.
Yeah,
Right, right.
I hear you.
But I'm glad we could all name how we are and we kind of know where we're at. So if we stumble upon our words, we know why.
Right, right,
We
right.
know why. So bear with us, our viewers. So, Ms. Roberta, do you wanna dive into the to some questions, or kind of want to know more? I want to know more about the book.
Okay. Well, I did like that. I thought that was a powerful topic. I think overall there's a lot here to talk about tonight. But
Yes.
let's talk about one thing to start it off with. Let's kick around that worry word. I know a lot of people usually worry about things, and I always go with that 80-20 rule. So what do you consider, and I'm gonna say what the 80-20 is. 80% of what you're thinking is not real. Only 20% of it is, but you're spending 100% of the time worrying about it, right? So what is your worry that you're addressing in that book? What does that look like?
So the book was written at a time I was in a big healing process. I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I also had some health concerns, family issues, just recovering and healing from all kinds of things, even things that you learn when you're a child and you've been programmed to believe, and you don't question it until you're an adult. And it's like, wait, why are we doing things like this? And so I was in a state of worry for years and didn't know it. And you start to live and talk with people who also have the same worries. So you don't even realize that it's actually a problem. And we're just talking about acting like it's normal. It's more normal for people to be like, oh, I'm so stressed or tired, as opposed to, I'm just so happy today. Like, girl, what you happy about? And it's like, why is it odd for somebody to be happy, but we don't even question stress or question tiredness? Like, what makes you happy? What's going on? Let's talk about what's happening in our relationship. Let's talk about what's happening in our spiritual life, our mind. I like how Jackie started with the mindfulness. Like, you need to be able to check in and put all of those parts of our body together. It's more than just the physical, it's the spiritual and mental. And so my reason for writing the book is it was my own healing process that I wrote down and was able to take practices. And I wanted to be able to share that with other people I knew, especially women who go through a lot of stress and just worry, because all of that stems from fear. There's only two big emotions, which is fear and love. And so moving out of that fear vortex and moving into the love field, that's where we want to be. And that's how you become a warrior.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, someone asked, what was your book's name again? If you don't mind sharing it with our audience again. Um,
Yes, it's called Worrier to Warrior: 7 Ways to Transform Wellness Using Comedic Knowledge. And it's available on Amazon or on my Instagram page at Alicia B. Well.
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I like I said, that just by itself actually catches me. And you're right, because I did think about stress, burnout, and as you said, we're just talking about returning to school, major stressor for a lot of families financially. Just the whole thing, taking resources, taking time for the people that work at the school, taking the time to be there, right? And just everybody getting right back into it with each other and that energy, which is the kinetics that you're talking about. So I really I'm really feeling this. So I really do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and uh, and
Thank you.
actually, I also practice mindfulness myself. So just being in the today and now. And it's ironic you say that. I have a person that I work with, and she's always saying, uh, Miss Roberta, well, why people don't get along with you is because you're generally happy all the time, and it's uncomfortable. And I've heard that before. It's just uncomfortable to be around someone who is not. And I won't say I'm happy, but I kind of can be content. I'll say that way. I'm not really like discouraged, and I try not to worry because I try to live right now. Right now,
Hmm.
that makes the biggest difference. Not,
Absolutely.
yeah, not getting ahead of myself, not looking back, because a lot of times, like you said, a lot of things look back have already burned down, right? The buildings is gone.
Exactly.
So there ain't nothing to look down, ain't nothing to look back at. It's gone.
Mhm.
The river, the water that already, settled on, and I'm gone. But
Right.
so I think that's awesome. Um, now, Jackie, I'll let you go ahead and so we asked that question, but then I want to shake it up just a little bit before we move forward with the conversation. What is the atmosphere with this new election coming? Just to throw out a wow statement, because I think this wow, it has went wow with us, right? And it's gonna go wower before November the 5th, I think. What do y'all think?
The atmosphere right now that I have been hearing as I am at my part-time with the nonprofit civic engagement organization, as I'm talking to people, individuals about registering to vote, and they're like, yes, I am, but I'm not voting. That's the thing that I keep hearing. And I have to inform people, you can vote without voting for someone. Like, you can cast a vote that will go to neither one or the other. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes, that's your ballot. You can do what you want with your ballot. Or you can just mark for the independent person. Even if we feel like, okay, they're not going to win, just mark. That's just a vote that doesn't go for either candidate that, you don't feel comfortable with. But I think that everyone just feels at a loss, and for lack of a better term, if this doesn't go the way that we want it to go, it's going to be hell, and it's going to be a shit show. For a lot of people, we saw what happened last elections. There was a riot. They went into the White House because Trump lost. So just imagine what the opposite is going to occur with everything going on in Palestine, in the Congo, in Honduras. Like, there's just so much going on, and there's a lot of light being shined onto it now, especially because of social media, and especially our vocal generation, which is the Gen Zs. They bring to light a lot of things. Millennials, we can do that too, but we don't do it as much. I think we grew up in this generation where, like, let's just sit back and let's see what happens, and then I'll jump in when I have something to say. But I think, just again, people are just lost, and just don't know what to do at this point. I have heard a lot of people say they're gonna move. I've been one of those people too. I'm like, if this election does not go the right way, I'm leaving. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going somewhere else. We ain't staying here. Because we don't know what's going to happen, especially every comment that has been made from Trump saying that he's going to run it as a dictatorship and all this. And I truly believe that he will do that. And it's like, I rather run before it happens.
Okay.
So,
Alicia,
yeah.
all right. Thank you, Jackie. Alicia, what do you think? What do you think? Because you brought the worrier to the warrior here. So I want to
I was reading the question and listening. I guess the guidance I could share on as far as people voting, I don't necessarily recommend or have a certain answer for anything that someone has to say about, like, oh, I want to vote for this person, oh, this person. Like, if you feel in your spirit that you want to vote for that person or not, then that's what you do. I will not allow myself to worry about the outcome of something based on humans, because that's all they are. They're humans in these roles, and whoever feels it, they are just as much able to make a mistake as any other human. So therefore, I can't say, like, oh, I'm going to move and do this and do that. I've lived in other countries, and people are saying, like, oh, America's this and that. Well, every country's got their own shit. And there's some beautiful parts of it as well. So my thing is go where you feel called, where you feel led, vote how you feel led, as long as you're not harming anyone or doing anything, immoral. I believe that you have the right to choose whatever life that you choose. And if you believe that everything's going to be a shit show or everything's going to be just peaches and rainbows, then that's the reality that you'll get. Whatever that you believe, you put your mind to, because the mind is strong. So if you put your mind to, oh, things are going to work out great for me, no matter who's in office, then that's what's going to happen. If you believe that everything's going to go terribly if this person's in office, then everything will be terrible, because that's all you're going to notice. So it's up to your mind to choose what you believe, what you see, and create your own reality. That's part of that warrior mindset.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Definitely.
So basically, you're saying don't over catastrophize, make it just bigger than what it is at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, they do the same tactics every 4 years. You guys are just as, y'all have been in the world just as much as I have, or longer, I don't know. But enough to see different presidents come in and out and different things happening through all parts of our planet. And it's the same things that are happening, and the same things, tactics that they use in media to diversify people and make each other go against each other for no reason based on a political party. I think it's silly. Based on religions, it's silly. Race is silly. I mean, again, this is my opinions, obviously, but anything that's about divisive culture and not, again, that love dimension, putting everybody as one, I think it's not a way to use my energy.
All right. All right.
Definitely. And I will say, like, that for me, I have anxiety, so I think a lot of it stems from that. I'm like, okay, I have to prepare for the worst. I'm just someone that thinks of every which thing that could happen and prepare for each one. And we know a lot of people, there are more people that are probably, have the same kind of mindset and things, always preparing.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
I grew up like that.
I'm also on the flip side.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're just gonna go with the flow. Let's see what happens. But I think what scares me and what scares other people that I've spoken to is the fact that we've already seen a lot of regression in a lot of the laws that were already put in place with women's rights, and just with just everything that has to do with women's rights. It just has taken a step back. Years, like, a lot of progress that was made is just like we just went backwards, and it just keeps happening over with another law and then with something else. So I think that's where the fear stems, because we're already seeing it. It's slowly happening.
Yeah.
And even with, like, the project 2025, if anyone ever if you read through it and look through it, is like, oh yeah. So which, and most people probably, they're like, they would be like, what's project 2025, or what laws are you talking about? Because some people aren't as in tune to it. Or also some people are like, no, I'm not going to worry myself with it. I'm going to just live in the now, and I see the things, and we'll see what happens. But I know that's where my worry, and a lot of colleagues and friends that I know, it's because of the regressions that we keep seeing happen over and over again.
Yeah, and I definitely want to make clear that when I say I'm not worried about it, doesn't mean that I'm ignoring it, or not aware of Project 2025, or not aware of legislation and laws that are being passed. I believe in equipping yourself with as much knowledge as possible, so that way you can make solutions and can prepare yourself and your families for the best. And that's a part of being in the now, knowing what am I in control of? What can I do to help my community, my family, myself? And when you focus on those things, that is what magnifies. Instead of putting your energy into this, you're putting your energy into problem, you're putting your energy into solutions. Hey.
And I think that's something we all do, right? Like Roberta and I with the platform, you with your book, and then any other nonprofit owner, community advocate. Like, we're out here doing what we can
Doing the
to
work.
help and to spread the wealth of knowledge too, because knowledge is power. And I appreciate that you named that, because yeah, you have to kind of just, again, it's that mindfulness, like think about now and think about what's going on, and then kind of say, okay, this is what could, just prepare myself,
Right.
and not consuming yourself with it.
That's
And I like that, because I need to put that into play, because again, it's my anxiety that gets me. And I think the way that I grew up, always having to kind of be prepared for like the next catastrophe or the next bad thing. um and that's from childhood to now. It keeps happening over and over again. I'm like, God, I know you give your people your strongest people the your
All the
soldiers, the
challenges. Yeah.
when is it gonna ease up? But I think it's kind of helped, right? Forge a path for me with the podcast and surrounding myself with like-minded people to kind of
For
changing
sure.
the circle.
Yeah.
But I want you to get into, because I have a feeling that your book, Warrior to Warrior, is connected to your nonprofit Roots to Wellness. Um, so tell us about how like Roots to Wellness came to be, your why, for it. 'Cause I would like to know, because I love your nonprofit and what you do.
Yeah. Yes, that's how we met. So thank you for saying that. So with Roots to Wellness, we are a nonprofit. We work to build a legacy of health empowerment in schools and communities. And the way I got started on that was through my own background, my family. My mother is someone who is an educator. She retired many years ago now, but she was an educator for over 30 years. And what she taught me just going through the grocery stores was how to read food labels at like 6 years old. She was like, we're not buying cereal BHT in it, or if they have red dye. And I'm like, that's all the fruity pebble, this, and, all the kid comic book, whatever stuff on it. And so fast forward, I'm learning like the reasons why she was saying no to them, and understanding that as an adult. My dad, had a garden when we were growing up, and I hated working it. He would, force us to be out there and turning soil and picking weeds and all that stuff. And it's just like, why? And now I see the importance of having fresh food. And, I was taking advantage of like the fact that we had fresh food on our table from our own garden. And so being able to teach students that is super important for me, as well as adults, because a lot of us grew up in cities where we may not had country parents like myself, or people who knew how to deal with farming and gardening and taking care of your body. So the earlier you can learn and be introduced to these concepts, the better it can be when you get older. So now you're like, oh yeah, let me look at this label. It's already, you've already been programmed to look at these labels and things. So you're able to move that knowledge as an adult.
I like that. Um, that's awesome. I want you to go back to, because I remember our audience don't really know some of the things that you just told them. You gave them some nuggets, but they don't know that those are nuggets. Like if their child has ADHD or what is it, ADHD or ADD, they don't know that red dye may be the trigger.
Right.
And that's what, that's from the fruity pebbles. That's from anything.
All those things.
That's right. All your
Mhm.
juices have it in there, and it is cause some of those disorders within our children, and people don't talk about it and don't tell you. And it's been known.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
been known to cause hypersensitivity in
Mhm.
children. So when we have a hyperactive child, that's why sometimes I'll ask them, like, what do you eat? What do you have?
Right.
Because that's the beginning.
Mhm.
That's where you tie that nutrition, like she's saying, in. I'm from a small town, so we had all of those things, and what awes me is now, like you were saying, Alicia, we don't have natural fruits anymore.
Very
Back
hard to find.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Back then, there was only one small freezer in the front of our grocery store, and our grocery store was probably half of what the average grocery store is now. And there was just one small freezer of frozen foods. Now, you think about that and go into Walmart today, and you have four huge freezers right after,
Road.
right, rows,
Mhm.
right, full of not just this dye, salts, sugars,
Yeah.
all kind of things that really are not good for us. Because you got to think if it'll stay frozen for 2 3 years, how good is it inside our bodies? So I like
Mhm.
that you're bringing that out. Like I said, that's something worth some thought. If you do have problems with with your children with some hyperactivity.
And it
Um,
goes for adults too. Hyperactivity, high blood pressure, diabetes, all of those are linked to these red dyes, these high sugar contents, everything you just listed, Roberta, like in those frozen food aisles. Like, why is it able to stay frozen? Or even the fresh food. Why is this fresh food, like this tomato, should not have been out for a whole week? You know, it doesn't work like that if you have things that aren't sprayed with pesticides and are on the more natural side. So you really have to be mindful about how you shop and what you choose to eat.
I like that. Yeah, yeah, that's real. That's true. That's
Mhm.
true. Now, you said something early on. You said challenging your belief systems. And by the way, that's another big deal with me, challenging what I've learned. Because a lot of
Mhm.
things I had to unlearn.
Yes.
A lot of things we have to unlearn. And I think like even going, everybody loves the golden arches, but even going by there, we have to unlearn that, right? Because I didn't have one till like I was probably almost a teenager in our community, and we thought it was a pretty big deal. But now I'm like, it may not have been.
Hmm.
And even our children love it now, so it's withstand the deal of time, but it's not good for us.
Yeah.
So even challenging that, what are we eating and what are we doing? I like that.
Mhm.
All right.
Definitely the unlearned behaviors. My goodness, I want to say because I titled this episode. I don't know if anyone saw social and emotional learning, because I know that's what your nonprofit is rooted in, social emotional learning, and that's also rooted in unlearning behaviors as adults, right? As kids, you're teaching them young, you're implementing, different things, awarenesses, the positive affirmations, trying to still catch that in middle schoolers and high schoolers, but I think that, my opinion, by the time that they are in middle school and high school, and I say this from being informed of like behavioral schools wanted to be implemented by Dallas ISD. Um, by the time they're in middle school and high school, I'm like, I think that's you've caught them a little too late. If you could have teach the social emotional, you could have teach the regulating the behaviors at a young age. If you could have done that then and there and implemented it with everything that they do in every class somewhere and another, then then we wouldn't have so many students or children at middle school and high school age that are struggling so much. And a lot of it has to do also, with their environments. We can't be oblivious to that fact as well. Like they can have structure and they can be taught things in school, but
Mhm.
if it's not happening at home, then unfortunately, it's going to be like, you know, pulling teeth trying to do it at school and have that structure and those kind of conversations with the students. Um, but yeah, I feel that really it's getting them small to teach them these different things. Because I could say for my kids, because I did start my career at Head Start. Um, and I would see what they would do with them. And my kids were small. My twins were infants. Anthony was a toddler. I was like, I'm gonna do these things with my kids at home, and I was already doing some things, but being there and seeing it, I was getting more live action and more tips and things like that. And even the teachers were like, here, take this to your kids, do this with them, like take it, if you need something more, like I'll make you copies and you can take it and do it with them too. And I think now Anthony's 9, the twins are 8, they're very self-aware and they can tell you how they're feeling, and they'll be quick to call my husband and I out if we're like, you're being too loud, like it's too much, like we don't, you need to relax. They're like, do you need some time by yourself? I'm like, yes. They're like, okay, we leave you alone. And
I love
I'll tell
it.
things too. They're like, I need some time, like I am, no, not right now. And they've identified anxiety from inside out too. They're like, I have felt that, Mom. I didn't know that that's what that is. They're like, and why does she look so crazy? I said, well, I live with anxiety, and that's how sometimes you feel. Like you just, it's everything, you can't get nothing balanced out, and you feel like everything is chaos, and that's just how you feel sometimes when you're really, really, really anxious. And they're like, wow, I've felt that before. Like now I know what it's called. So they're very, very self-aware. But again, that came from, me being willing to do those things, and having that knowledge and that access to that information. But I think also it goes back to willingness.
Yeah. I would agree with that. With the part that you being involved as a parent is super key. I believe any age that you decide to wake up and make changes is the age that you're supposed to wake up and make changes. And unfortunately, we have programs, not just Roots to Wellness, but other programs that are out there that work with children from Head Start, elementary, all of those younger grade levels. And unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but almost gets thrown in the trash if the parents aren't there to support it and make sure that they're practicing it at home, because you can be perfect at school and have all these great programs and resources and all of that. But if you go home and it's the exact opposite, what are we doing? So that's why I created Roots to Wellness, because not only are we in schools, but we have community events and programs so the adults can be there as well, because it's important for not just the parents, but there's adult caregivers. There are people who are adults now who are like, you know what? I just got diagnosed with XYZ and I think I can beat this. And I have seen people who have beaten what they needed to do because they had a different mindset. They started their meditation. They have cut out certain eating habits, drinking, all of that kind of stuff that is detrimental to our bodies. So I definitely agree with it's a whole family thing. So as far as age, it doesn't matter. It's whatever mind that you're in, and it takes the whole community to do it.
All right.
Yep. Sure, because I barely have a handle on it now at 31.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm working on it every day. Every day learning.
After years of feeling like something is wrong, and then finally, like you said, waking up and be like, okay, it's time to make a change because this ain't working. I'm trying on my, like for me, I tried on my own. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to therapy, but keep with the holistic route, teas and different things, yoga, meditation, but it still wasn't enough. Like it was helping, but I was still falling back into depression. So I said, okay, this is chemical. This is an imbalance, and I'm gonna have to take medication. And it was a godsend. And I always say, that's not everyone's. There's no one size fits all. Everyone is different. Like maybe someone can just do the holistic way and then they're fine. They're like, they don't need no therapy, or they just do holistic and therapy, or one or the other. So it just depends on the person and the individual and what works for them. So you have to be mindful of that, like of the viewers. Don't think, oh, I'll just do this one thing. Like, try it out. Yes, do
Right.
try it out and see how it goes for you. See how it works.
Mhm.
Um, it takes creating habits, right? It takes having to do it over and over and over again, before it actually becomes a real habit that you put into place into your routine. Because I have been off of my routine, for a while, since I started my job trying to do yoga and mindfulness. I haven't done it. It's been going on 2 months now, and I can tell the difference in me not doing that. Like, I'm taking my medication. I haven't gone to therapy either, just because every time that I schedule it, I have to cancel it because I get off of work late. So it's like I need to find
The
that
balance.
balance again.
Mhm.
Like, I need to find it. This is why I need work to slow down just a little bit. I'm like, if it just could ease up just a little bit, I could get the balance back in it. But I have to be intentional. And what is it? It has to be non-negotiable, really.
Sure. For sure. That's part of the reason why I got into coaching as well, because I know it's going to sound super nerdy, but I love making organizational like charts for people and schedules because that is part of like how I'm just wired, and it does help to have those non-negotiables. Like, hey, if all you have is, and my mom was a great example of this, she would just take like 5 minutes in the bathroom. She's like, do not bother me. Like growing up, we're like, why can't we come? Because we always just come in and just invade her time, like always. And I'm looking back, I'm like, dang, we were some like needy kids. Like, what were we doing? And so, but she made it her non-negotiable time. Like, yo, y'all got to figure out what y'all do on your own or whatever. Maybe she didn't say the yo part, but basically showing us that like this time is important. And so the more you schedule it, have that time, especially decompressing off of work or off of a call or whatever it is, just getting in that practice and letting everyone know that like if you have, boyfriend, sister, cousin, whoever calling you and doing that, like, yo, this is my time or whatever, just not being in a rush. I think that's part of our culture now, is that everything has to be so instant. As soon as I text you, I need a response back in 2 minutes. As soon as I get the email, did you get my email? Ma'am, did it bounce back? Like, yes, I got it. That's how email works. Like,
Right.
yes, yes. Sorry, that wasn't even what we're talking about right now. But
But it does
No,
all
no,
add
it
up.
is. It
that
does have
was
to
a
do with
personal
it.
moment.
It is.
Get back right.
Because we are in a world like this.
Yes, it's
And,
very
and,
instant.
and you know what's scary is that a lot of people are committing suicide because of that, and can't find a balance and
Right.
can't find a place of ease to center themselves. They
Mhm.
can't get grounded. And so they are opting out. So really, actually, it does have something to do with it, because that's how our society has started our minds to thinking. You
Right.
just think, if you're watching reels, and reels are only 2 minutes from
Or less.
you know right, and
Yeah.
we went from being entertained, say an hour a week as a series. Then we
Mhm.
went to 30 minutes a week as a series. Now we're just going to 2 to 5 minutes, right? And we're keeping up with everybody we watch on social media.
Oh, I
That's
got something to share with you. Oh my gosh. Yes.
that's a mind game we play with
Yes.
ourselves, because that's
Absolutely.
like that. And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, they doing this now? That's a mind game, and it's short wires, that our brain and our brains are short wired. Really, a lot of students we get can't even sit down or even think long enough to process anything now. And not only that, like you said, the food, the whole environment is all, so
Yes,
yeah.
fast, too
Right.
fast. And so
Right.
that's why like yoga meditation is so important. Like you don't have to be the most bendy, flexible. I'm not trying to convert people to be yogis and go on the mountain with me. I mean, if you do, come on, but you don't have to make it this, monk type practice. If you want to be a monk, that's your business. But you can make it very simple. It could be something as simple as like a walk in the park. and just not listening to music, not having your headphones in or talk on the phone, just literally walking, being present, listen to the birds, get slapped by a mosquito, whatever, like notice what's happening at that moment. Roberta, what you mentioned about the brain cells and how it was moving, it brought me to my lesson today with the students. We were looking up the terms enrichment versus entrapment today. And the students, they picked up on it so quickly, and they're like, oh, and rich got rich in it, whatever, the word rich is in there. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we're gonna be rich. I was like, yes, in spirit. Because it's not about money, like it can be, but spirit is even more important to be rich and abundant in. And then they looked at the word entrapment, and the word that was in there, y'all know, trap, right? So why are we being stuck on these video games was what I was bringing up to the kids, the students. But Roberta, you're mentioning the phones, because even though we may not be gamers, I don't know, some of us may play games, whatever it is, something's diverting our attention and keeping us there. There are psychologists that have studied these games and created these ways to keep us stuck in it, to see that, oh, I'm getting pleasure from this, or oh, I'm getting all these likes, or oh, this fake money from Candy Crush is coming in, or whatever game. So I'm getting rich. And it's like, no, it's a trap. It's making you feel that way in a virtual world, but in reality, that's not happening. So you have to make your reality now. You've got to get off these devices. What Prince say? It's cool to get on the internet, but don't let the internet get on you. So you have to create those boundaries. It's super important to make that time out for yourself and slow down. We are not machines. We are not meant to be going and going and going. And I love that we all collectively were like, you know what? Let's reschedule. And it was fine, because we're not machines. Why did we need to rush and do it the other Monday? There's no need to do that. We were able to take the rest that we need and show up today. We all look, good, and we here today, like, what I'm saying? So it was necessary. And so just imagine all the other things that we can say, you know what, let me take a step back, or let's take a pause, or whatever the case may be. The more we practice doing that, the more that vibrates to other communities and other people, and they get the message and they can start doing it and remembering that we're human and we deserve rest.
Yes, definitely. Gotta remember, we are not machines. Because I people definitely tell me, like, how do you do it, Jackie? How are you a mom? How do you work full time? How do you have past two? How are you writing a book? How do you have a business? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just do it. And I think I do it because it fulfills me. It brings me happiness. It really brings me a lot of joy. It is tiring. But I've learned, to compartmentalize, and as well as like you said, not feel like, oh, I need to do this like right now. Like with my business, it's more of like, it's a side gig. Like if I get the business, perfect. When I really need the money, then I know what to lean on and to go harder on and to advertise on. But it's not something that I have to like really lean on right now, and don't have the capacity to really kick it off, to be like a business that'll kind of like run itself. I don't have to go look for customers. I hope one day I can get to that, but I have 3 little ones. I always keep my kids in mind, and my mental health intact. So that's more of like, we get the business, cool. We don't, it's fine too. We don't rely on that money. We rely on our full-time income. And like I said, everything I do, it all brings me joy and happiness. So I think when you're happy, and when it's not detrimental to your health, and you don't feel like it's I have to do this, like I have no choice, then of course it's gonna feel daunting and heavy and consuming of your mental health and your physical health as a whole. I think that's how I'm able to do it. As they say, do it all, but I'm like, I have my pitfalls. I have the times where I trip and fall, and I'm like, oop, time to get back up, dust myself off, and get it back into place where it needs to be. But I think when you're doing something and you do something because you love it, because it brings you joy, then okay, I'm doing this for this reason, not for the money reason. I'm doing it because I know that it's helping someone out there. Um, and I'm gonna keep on doing it. And I feel like that's where you come from, Alicia, with everything that you do. It's like you can see the passion and the joy that it brings you in sharing your knowledge and sharing your reason why. It really shines through. So I love that it's that you can tell, right? You can tell when someone is like, this is their passion, and it really really
Not
shines
for
through.
play play.
Yes, play.
Yeah, it
So,
just shows it lets, and I thank you for saying that. It just allows me to show how good God is. Like you're saying, like I've had people say, "Oh, how do you do such and such and did this and that?" And it's just like, girl, this is not just me. Like this woman that you see here is just flesh, but there's a whole, God that's operating where
mhm.
you cannot see, and that is how I'm allowed to do the things that I do and do it with joy and passion. And if I don't feel passion or not feeling it, and I'm not going to do it, because what good is that sharing that kind of energy towards other people? Now you're harming yourself and you're harming the people that you're working with. So
Yep.
I'm going to always come with good energy. And if I don't feel aligned to something, then I won't do that. I'm going to always
Mhm.
pray about it and follow through with what God has for me.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
so much. So,
Mhm.
Alicia, tell our viewers where they can find you, and again, how they can get your book as well.
Yes. Oh, you. Okay. Alicia Be Well, and that's Alisha B. Well on Instagram, Alicia Be Well on TikTok, Twitter. What's the other ones that's out there? Um,
Facebook.
yeah, that one too. I'm like, what's these apps? I try to take breaks from them. But yes, those are it. As far as my nonprofit, it's Roots to Wellness Now. That's rootstowellnessnow.com. It's also on Instagram as Roots to Wellness Now. So follow me there. The book Worrier to Warrior is on Amazon, and all these links. I think you can drop it in your recording or whatever you have, but it's
Okay.
on my pages and things, that I'll send those to you as well.
Okay. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. And
And,
we'll send you the links to these.
Thank you.
and I just wanted to, what I was thinking is that I wanted to extend an offer for you to return back at the end of September. So it'll probably be like the last or it'll be the fourth week of September. I wanted just to extend that offer as well while we're on the air. It's very nice meeting you. I
Those are one
enjoyed
of my
it.
notes too. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Because I have an event September 28th. Sorry. That was like the last Saturday of the month. So I'm glad you said that. I was like, oh, yeah, I wanted to mention that. We're going to be at Trinity River Audubon Center from 9:30
Okay.
to 12. We actually have Whole Foods that's going to also be there. So giving out
Oh,
some good, healthy, nutritious food to the community. And I'll be leading a yoga meditation as well. So a little nature walk, yoga. It's on Eventbrite as Rooted in Nature. It's also on my Roots to Wellness page. So
I mean, you see me
download that.
pulling Eventbrite
Get it.
now. Let
Get
me
it.
go over
Get
there, put it on my calendar because
Yes.
it literally has to be on the calendar to happen.
That's what we are
And that
now.
is, and Alicia, that is the 23rd. If you would join us back, we would love to have you right before you have that uh
Yes.
The event. Mhm.
yeah, that event.
Sounds great.
Well,
Okay.
thank you so much again.
Thank you all.
Everyone, have a good night. To our viewers, follow us. Shoot us an email or DM if you have any specific topics that you would like for us to bring up. Taboo Chronicles Podcast on all Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Good
Peace.
night.